Welcome to Chasing Curiosity TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The South China Sea crackles with tension, its calm surface belying the storm of geopolitical rivalry brewing beneath. Here, the world's busiest shipping lanes intersect with the ambitions of powerful nations, making every wave a potential flashpoint. On September 19, 2025, as the sun rises, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel embarks on a routine patrol, only to find its path blocked by a formidable wall of Chinese ships. The blockade is not just a show of force, it's a message, clear and unmistakable. Nearby, Filipino fishermen, who have relied on these waters for generations, are cut off from their traditional fishing grounds at Huangyan Island, known in the Philippines as Bajo de Masinloc. Their livelihoods hang in the balance as massive patrol vessels loom over their small boats, denying them access to the sea that has sustained their families for decades. Horns blare across the water, echoing warnings through the humid morning air. The message is unmistakable: turn back or face consequences. The tension is palpable, every sound a reminder of the stakes at play. This confrontation is about far more than fishing rights. It's a direct challenge to national sovereignty, a test of resolve between two nations with competing claims over these strategic waters. In Beijing, officials issue stern warnings. The Chinese government has recently cautioned Manila that any attempt to assert control over the disputed area will be met with what they call resolute countermeasures. The rhetoric is sharp, leaving little room for compromise. China's maritime presence has surged dramatically, with naval vessels forming a near-impenetrable barrier around the atoll. The encirclement is both physical and psychological, a show of dominance that leaves little doubt about Beijing's intentions. Outnumbered and outgunned, the Filipino crew documents the blockade with shaky handheld cameras, determined to bear witness. They do what they can to assist their countrymen, offering supplies and support to the stranded fishermen, even as the threat looms ever closer. Chinese ships close in, executing aggressive maneuvers, cutting dangerously close to Filipino vessels, creating waves that rock the smaller boats. The intimidation is calculated, designed to send a message without firing a single shot. Around the globe, people watch through grainy, hastily recorded footage. The world sees a powerful nation flexing its might over a smaller neighbor and wonders how far this confrontation might go. Every moment is fraught with risk. A single miscalculation, a wrong turn, a misunderstood signal could ignite a conflict that spirals far beyond these waters. The tension on the bridge is mirrored in the anxious faces of the crew, eyes glued to radar screens, hands poised over controls. In the capitals of Manila and Beijing, diplomatic channels buzz with urgent messages. Behind closed doors, officials scramble to de-escalate, seeking a way out of the impasse without losing face or ground. The Philippines files yet another formal protest, condemning China's actions as blatant violations of international law. At a press conference in Manila, officials call for global support, hoping to rally allies to their cause. In response, Beijing dismisses the protest, reiterating its claim of indisputable sovereignty over the contested waters. The cycle of accusation and denial continues, with neither side willing to back down. This cycle of action and reaction has become the new normal in the South China Sea. Each patrol, each confrontation, adds another layer to the growing tension, making the situation ever more volatile. Both sides inch ever closer to a line that, if crossed, could unleash consequences far beyond these waters. The world holds its breath, knowing that a single spark could set off a chain reaction. The standoff has become a dangerous dance, watched intently by the international community. Newsrooms from Washington to Tokyo monitor every development, aware that the outcome could reshape the balance of power in the region. The stakes have never been higher. For those on the front lines, and for the world at large, the next move could change everything. Why does Huangyan Island matter so much? At first glance, it might seem like just a small, uninhabited reef in the vast South China Sea. But beneath the surface, this rocky outcrop is at the heart of a complex and heated international dispute, drawing the attention of powerful nations and everyday people alike. To the Philippines, it's known as Bajo de Masinloc, a lifeline for thousands of fishermen who have depended on its abundant waters for generations. It's not just a fishing ground, but a symbol of national heritage, pride, and the right to livelihood for coastal communities. To China, it's Huangyan Dao, a strategic outpost that represents both historical claims and modern ambitions. For Beijing, controlling this shoal is about projecting power and securing vital interests in the region. The shoal sits just 124 nautical miles from Luzon, well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, as defined by international law. Its proximity makes it a natural extension of the Philippines' maritime territory, yet it remains fiercely contested. For generations, Filipino fishermen have relied on its rich waters for survival, passing down knowledge and traditions from father to son. The bounty of fish here has fed families, supported local economies, and shaped coastal culture. But everything changed in 2012, when China took control of the shoal. Since then, Filipino fishermen have faced harassment, dwindling catches, and growing uncertainty about their future. The loss has devastated local livelihoods and sparked national outrage. For Beijing, the shoal is more than a fishing ground. It's a gateway to vast resources, oil, gas, and minerals that lie beneath the sea. It's also a crucial foothold for asserting regional dominance and controlling vital shipping lanes. If militarized, the shoal would complete a strategic triangle of Chinese outposts, giving Beijing the ability to monitor, influence, and potentially control movement across the South China Sea, a region through which trillions of dollars in trade pass every year. Yet the shoal is also an ecological treasure, forming part of the Coral Triangle, one of the world's richest centers of marine biodiversity. Its reefs shelter countless species, supporting both local and global ecosystems. But this fragile environment is under constant threat. Heavy ship traffic, illegal fishing, and the looming possibility of large-scale construction could irreparably damage the delicate coral reefs and disrupt marine life for generations to come. The battle over Huangyan Island is about more than territory. It's a struggle for food security, national pride, economic power, and environmental protection, all playing out on a global stage. Huangyan Island is far more than a rock. It's a flashpoint for the future of the region, a symbol of hope and conflict, and a test of how nations will resolve their differences in an increasingly crowded and contested sea. The Philippines stands on international law. The 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in Manila's favor, rejecting China's historic claims. The tribunal affirmed the shoal as a traditional fishing ground and condemned China's interference. Manila's strategy, assertive transparency, publicizing China's actions, rallying support, and filing relentless protests. The Philippines isn't alone. Its alliance with the U.S. is stronger than ever, with the Mutual Defense Treaty clarified to cover Coast Guard vessels. Joint military exercises with allies have ramped up, boosting readiness. Still, the Philippines walks a tightrope, defending its rights without provoking a fight it can't win. Patrols and diplomacy go hand in hand. The government frames its actions as a principled defense of territory and law. It's a stand for a rules-based order, not force. China's claim to Huangyan Island is rooted in history. Beijing cites ancient maps and records insisting the shoal has always been Chinese territory. The China Coast Guard enforces this claim, patrolling, expelling foreign boats, and blocking access. Recently, China added environmental protection to its justification, empowering its Coast Guard to detain foreigners. Critics call this a pretext for control. China rejects the 2016 ruling, calling it invalid and refusing to negotiate sovereignty. For Beijing, only bilateral talks, where it holds the upper hand, are acceptable. The dispute is as much about narrative as it is about territory. China's approach is a masterclass in gray zone tactics. Instead of open conflict, it uses Coast Guard and militia boats to slowly tighten its grip, salami slicing, one layer at a time. Water cannons, swarming militia boats, and constant pressure wear down opposition without triggering war. Each blockade and patrol reinforces China's claim, making its control a fact on the water. The world struggles to respond. No single incident justifies major intervention. The goal: consolidate control without firing a shot. Beijing secures resources and shipping lanes, daring others to escalate. It's a patient, calculated, and highly effective strategy. The world's response is split. The U.S. is Manila's loudest supporter, reaffirming its defense treaty and increasing its presence. Allies like Japan, Australia, and the UK back the Philippines and conduct freedom of navigation operations. Joint drills and security cooperation internationalize the dispute. But ASEAN is cautious. Economic ties with China run deep, and unity is elusive. Many neighbors fear economic retaliation more than they crave solidarity. China's economic leverage keeps regional opposition fragmented. The Philippines often stands alone in its own backyard. Support from distant partners is crucial in its struggle against a superpower. The South China Sea is now one of the world's most militarized zones. China's artificial islands bristle with runways, ports, and missile systems, shifting the military balance. These fortresses let China project power far from its mainland, threatening rivals and freedom of navigation. The fear, Huangyan Island could be next, completing China's strategic triangle. The Philippines and allies are modernizing, with the US gaining expanded base access. US forces closer to the flashpoint send a clear signal to Beijing, but the risk of miscalculation grows. Warships and aircraft from multiple nations operate in close quarters. A minor incident could spiral out of control. The region is a tinderbox, one spark away from disaster. The risk of escalation is real and immediate. A single misstep, like a collision or water cannon incident, could trigger a military confrontation. The US-Philippines Defense Treaty means any attack could draw in American forces. A US-China clash over a shoal is a nightmare scenario. Beyond military risks, constant tension disrupts global trade. 1/3 of shipping passes through these waters. Higher insurance, supply chain shocks, and economic fallout threaten nations worldwide. ASEAN's inability to unite weakens regional diplomacy. The dispute fractures trust, undermining cooperation on bigger challenges. The fight over Huangyan Island destabilizes security, economy, and diplomacy across the Indo-Pacific. The consequences reach far beyond the contested waters. The battle for Huangyan Island is far more than a local quarrel. It's a global test of principles, power, and the future of international relations. At stake is not just a patch of land or water, but the very foundation of international law and the rules-based order that has governed the world for decades. The decisions made here will influence how nations resolve disputes everywhere. China's outright rejection of the 2016 International Tribunal ruling challenges the core idea that all countries, big or small, must play by the same rules. If one nation can ignore global agreements, what stops others from doing the same? If power is allowed to trump law in this case, it sets a dangerous precedent that could ripple across continents, undermining trust and stability worldwide. The United States' response, whether diplomatic, economic, or military, will help define the security architecture of the Indo-Pacific for years to come, affecting alliances and rivalries across the region. The South China Sea is more than a strategic flashpoint. It's a commercial superhighway carrying trillions of dollars in trade each year. Any conflict here would disrupt global supply chains, threaten energy security, and devastate the world economy. The fate of Filipino fishermen who rely on these waters for their livelihoods hangs in the balance. So too does the health of the marine ecosystem, which supports millions of people and countless species. At the heart of the dispute is Philippine sovereignty, its right to protect its people, its resources, and its future from external threats and encroachment. But beyond national interests, the hope for a stable, lawful, and prosperous region is at stake. The outcome here will shape the future of Southeast Asia and the wider world. The world is watching this tiny shoal with bated breath as journalists, diplomats, and citizens await the next move in this high-stakes drama. What happens here will echo for decades, influencing how future generations understand justice, sovereignty, and peace. The stakes are far greater than a few rocks in the sea. They are about the future of order, cooperation, and peace in our interconnected world.